but from the inside, it can feel like a prison. We live in a world that celebrates self-awareness as the ultimate emotional achievement. Know thyself, the ancient philosophers said. And in the modern age of therapy, culture, journaling, and psychology content, that message has amplified into something closer to a mandate. You must understand yourself. You must do the inner work. You must be aware. But no one talks about what happens when that awareness becomes a burden. When you are so aware of yourself that you can no longer simply feel something, you must immediately analyze it. When you can no longer have a conversation without watching yourself from the outside. When your inner observer never sleeps, never rests, never lets you just be. Psychologists have a term for this extreme version. It describes individuals who are so attuned to their own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that they experience a constant internal commentary. A second voice narrating every moment, every reaction, every interaction. This is not the same as mindfulness. Mindfulness observes without judgment. Hyper-self-monitoring observes and immediately judges, questions, dissects. Why did I say that? Becomes, why am I always like this? Becomes, what does it mean that I'm always like this? And suddenly a 2-second social moment has become a 40-minute internal investigation. People who live at this level of self-awareness often struggle with something deeply ironic. They know too much to be comfortable, but not quite enough to be free. They understand their anxiety has roots in childhood, but understanding the root does not always stop the flower from blooming. They know their people-pleasing comes from a fear of abandonment, but that knowledge doesn't silence the panic that rises when someone seems distant. They can name every psychological pattern they carry and still feel powerless to change them in the moment. This creates a particular kind of suffering, because alongside the pain of the experience, there is now the additional burden of knowing why you're in pain, which somehow makes it lonelier. You can explain your wounds to someone in perfect psychological language and still feel completely unseen. There's also what psychologists call self-conscious emotions: shame, guilt, embarrassment, and pride. And research consistently shows that highly self-aware individuals experience these emotions more intensely and more frequently than their less introspective peers. Every mistake becomes a referendum on your character. Every moment of vulnerability becomes a scene replayed from multiple angles. Every perceived failure is not just something that happened, it is evidence of who you are. And here is perhaps the cruelest dimension of this. The people who are most self-aware are often simultaneously the harshest critics of their own self-awareness. They know they are being too hard on themselves. They know this thought loop is unproductive. They watch themselves spiral and annotate the spiral in real time. There I go again. Analyzing again. Why can't I just let it go? The inner observer becomes the inner critic, becomes the observer of the inner critic. It's mirrors inside mirrors. So if self-awareness can become a trap, where does that leave us? The answer lies in understanding what self-awareness is actually for. True self-awareness, the kind that leads to growth, not paralysis, is not a destination. It is a tool, and like any tool, its value depends entirely on how it is used. There is a profound difference between insight and rumination. Insight says, I notice this pattern in myself, and I can choose differently. Rumination says, I see this pattern, and I am helpless to escape it. Insight liberates. Rumination traps. And for the hyper-self-aware, the challenge is not to become more aware, it is to learn to use what they already know without drowning in it. Part of this healing involves something counterintuitive, allowing yourself to not understand everything. There will be moments when you feel something and you don't know why. There will be reactions that surprise you. There will be emotions that resist your most careful analysis. And in those moments, the most psychologically courageous thing you can do is sit with the not knowing, without needing to solve it immediately. Because you were not born to be a perfectly understood system. You were born to be a living, breathing, evolving human being. And evolution, be its nature, involves mystery. If you are someone who lives inside your own mind more than most, who sees yourself with almost painful clarity, I want you to know something. Your self-awareness is not the problem. The relationship you have with it is. When you use it with compassion, to understand yourself rather than prosecute yourself, It becomes one of the most extraordinary gifts a human mind can possess. You can choose empathy over reactivity. You can catch yourself before you hurt others. You can grow in directions most people never find because they never look inward long enough. But first, you must give yourself permission to simply exist, unexplained and imperfect. For a few moments each day, to sit in the sun without processing what sitting in the sun means about you. To just be a person. Sometimes, the deepest act of self-awareness is knowing when to stop watching. If this spoke to something you've never quite found words for before, share it. And subscribe for more psychology content that goes where most content won't.